Hello, guys. Today we have a little topic today that I want to get into. Um, Obviously, you see, it says how to become the best you. So, yeah, we're gonna be getting into that. Um, we have some descriptions here. You know what I mean? So let's start. It starts with shifting priorities and having a vision. So you always want to have a vision in your mind before you get into something. Think about it. Where are you going to go? How are you going to get there? You know what I mean? These things need to be answered. You know what I mean? You have to have your foundation laid out before you can do the active steps. You know what I mean? So, obviously, it's, you know what I mean? You don't want to overthink. You know what I mean? You don't want to over plan, over analyze everything, but you want to have somewhat of a general, not a general, but a foundation for what you want. You know what I mean? So always have that in mind. You know what I mean? When you're trying to become a better version of you, and yeah. Like I said here, that can mean getting rid of old habits such as partying or making an effort to change focus. So, obviously, all habits don't, you know what I mean, happen and as soon as you will it away, you know what I mean. So a lot of times people have to gradually, you know what I mean, do that. You know what I mean, keep trying to change that focus, you know what I mean, on things that are actually producing them results to get what they want to where they want it to be in life. So, yeah, obviously, I don't recommend anybody, you know what I mean, go to the party, start drinking, but you want to gradually, you know what I mean, change that focus, because a lot of people, that's just how they do things, you know what I mean, and that's normal, you know, but if it was me, I would tell myself that exact day, you know what I mean, I have to quit this, because for me, it's just a different story. I'm sorry, but yeah, remember, all these things will still be here when you lock in. You know what I mean? Yeah. Again, I don't condone, you know what I mean, any of this, you know what I mean, going to the party, you know what I mean, drinking, doing alcohol, all that stuff, you know, it's not a healthy lifestyle, you know what I mean, not the best lifestyle, just for me, you know what I mean, and that's okay, but, yeah, remember, all these things will still be here when you lock in. They're not going anywhere, you know what I mean? The girls, they're there, you know what I mean? This time is for you to focus, you know what I mean? And just go towards that goal, you know what I mean? All this stuff will be here at the end of the day. So, yeah. Next, we have reprogramming who you are. Now, based on your visuals, who you want to become in mind. So what this means is, who do you want to be? It just comes down to that question. Who do you want to be? And not only that, how are you going to be that person? What words do you have to tell yourself? What do you have to think of? What will make you become that person? Because you don't become that person in mind, you can't become that person in reality. You know what I mean? The inside of you, you know what I mean, is who you are. You know what I mean? That's who you are. The words you tell yourself when nobody can hear that. Nobody knows who you truly are inside. And a lot of people like to put on a mask. You know what I mean? Mask who they are. That's what that is. Masking who you are. A lot of people do this. You know what I mean? So, who do you want to become? That's a genuine question. Now, an example. You aren't as mentally strong and a mentally strong person, but keep telling yourself you are. I mean, like, that's what it is. You know what I mean? You're telling yourself who you are. You're reshaping who you are through your mind. Your mind is something else. It is strong. It is powerful. You know what I mean? We don't realize how much of a weapon it is. You know what I mean? Because that's what it is, ultimately, a weapon. You know what I mean? It's dangerous. We are dangerous. We are dangerous. You know what I mean? Especially together. So, okay, I'm rambling. But, yeah, what's happening is you are reshaping your subconscious mind, and in that, you are becoming someone new. Okay? You are reshaping your subconscious mind, and in that, you are becoming someone new. That's all it's doing. You know what I mean? All the traumas and past, you know what I mean? Things you dealt with. You're basically changing parts of that to make someone new by telling yourself who you are every day. You know what I mean? That's all it is. That's literally all it is. You can become who you want to be, but it first starts with the mind. You know what I mean? And that's just how it is. So, yeah. Next, we have cleaning your environment. Cleaning your environment. And yeah. So, this is really important. You know what I mean? Really important. You know, simply for the fact that a lot of people can't do this. Well, they can, but they just don't want to. You know, it's very hard for them to let go of people. You know what I mean? It's very hard for them to, just fully lock into what they need to do. You know, and I like to say this a lot. Actually, no, I don't. What the freak am I talking about? But I believe in this saying: you are who you hang around. You know what I mean? You are who you hang around. If you're with a bunch of, people that, probably eat Doritos all day, you know what I mean? Sit down and, do nothing. You might end up like them. there's not the full percent chance, but it's a possibility. You know what I mean? You are who you hang around. You know, and you want to make sure that your environment is the best it could be. Surround yourself with like-minded individuals. You know what I mean? So yeah. Make sure the people in your circle, if any, are getting you where you need to be. I'm going to repeat that. Make sure the people in your circle, if any, are getting you where you need to be. You just got to, you know, you just have to take action on getting rid of these people and allowing for the new people to come into your life, enter it, and make you a better person. Allow them to clean you out. You know what I mean? Maybe teach you some topics that you didn't know before. Allow them to help you grow and focus and become better. You can do it alone, but you don't have to. Some people like to go overboard, cut off everybody, you know what I mean, and lock in. You know, maybe that may help you, maybe that won't. You know, some people are different. But you have to know that you have to do everything, you know what I mean? Everything in your life has to change in order for you to get to the next level. If not everything, most things. Because that person you were before isn't going to cut it. It's not going to cut it. You know what I mean? So yeah. Example, getting rid of toxic people. This is so important, so important. Simply for the fact that it's a stressful environment you're putting yourself in. When you're around toxic people constantly, you know what I mean? Who maybe aren't getting, you know what I mean, giving you the knowledge on specific topics that you need, that aren't supporting you in any beneficial way. What are they even there for at that point? You know what I mean? First of all, you are who you hang around. You know what I mean? Second of all, you need to be around people who actually want it. Who are actually going and finding ways to be better. This is so important, guys. So important. Now, yeah, you don't want to stress yourself out. You know, cut off those toxic people, because at the end of the day, they're bringing you down with them. That's what they're doing. How can you lock in when you have someone constantly tearing you down? It's just not going to lead to any good result. You know? You have to be maximizing what's getting you the results. You know? That's all this is. It's just this video. This is maximizing what is getting you the result of becoming a better person. That's all it is. But okay. So down here, we have what you are doing is you are putting yourself around other individuals who want to succeed. What this is doing, and it makes you, what this does is it makes you want to become better, because we are all inherently competitive to some degree. Yes. You know what I mean? We see other people and we're like, why can't that be me? What you want to change this is, you want to change it to, I can be this person. How can that become me? No. You want to be thinking long term. You know, how can this become me? And yes, put yourself, when you put yourself around other people that are succeeding, that are winning in life, what's happening is you're finding out that this is possible, that I can achieve this because this other person did it. That's what's happening. Because this other person did it, I can do it too. That's why it's so important to surround yourself with the right people. So important. You know what I mean? Alright. And I want to add this. Make sure it doesn't go overboard, as it could lead to jealousy or envy. Make sure it doesn't go overboard, as it could lead to jealousy or envy. And I want to add, you know, obviously, you know, jealousy and envy aren't the ideal isn't the ideal frame you want to be in when you're, you know what I mean, trying to achieve your goals. You know what I mean? You don't want to be in that frame, you know what I mean, of being jealous around that person or comparing yourself to that person, you know, because your focus is on that person and not you. How can you fully lock in when you're focused on somebody else? It doesn't work that way. Like I said, we are maximizing everything to make sure that you are becoming the person you want to be. You know, this is you want to make it easier. You want to make it easier on yourself. That's all it is. Now, be in friendly competition. And what does that mean? That means you want to see each other win. You guys are constantly feeding off of each other, supporting each other, and growing as a partnership, as a brotherhood, as a sisterhood. You know, maybe you have a spouse like that, or someone you can see with yourself long term that wants to see you win. It could be anybody. You know? But this is what it takes. You know? And know that guys, we're doing this together. You know what I mean? We're doing this together. You know, and I'm gonna say it like this. We're in friendly competition because I'm supporting you guys. I'm giving you the information y'all need to better yourselves, and you know what I mean. The people that I'm not saying, you know what I mean. This is my second video. I don't really get too much support, but if you see this video right now and you want to, you know what I mean, join my community, and you know, I don't know, make a comment every now and then, and help me, you know, become who I want to be, you know what I mean. Well, that really helps. You know, we're supposed to be feeding off of each other, feeding. You know what I mean? Helping each other grow. That's what this is all about. That's what I'm building this community for. So yeah, that's all I want to say for this slide. All right, next we have take accountability and be held accountable. I also want to add something else on there. Hold others accountable. Simply for the fact that it's a partnership at the end of the day, a brotherhood, a sisterhood. Like I said, you want to be constantly growing with that person. And when you're able to hold each other accountable, it really helps, especially when you have somebody else, because it makes you want to do it. Seeing another person, you know, holding you accountable, giving you reasons as to why you should take what they have into consideration, it really helps, you know. But you have to hold yourself accountable too, because you are monitoring yourself 24/7. I mean, nobody knows you like you do. You know what's holding you back. And that's what we're getting into. Be honest with yourself. 9 times out of 10, you know what's holding you back. What happens if you don't take accountability? You're going to do that thing again, and again, and again, and again. You know? It's a repeated cycle. What happens when you do take accountability? It gives you a drive to want to stop, but you gotta want it. You gotta really want it. Really take accountability and sit with yourself and ask yourself, how bad do I want this? You know? I mean, all this really starts with a question. You know? You have to take accountability. Example. You didn't wake up to go to the gym, so you dedicate the next 2 days to lifting with no excuses. You have to find ways to take accountability for yourself. You know what I mean? ask others to hold you accountable when it's necessary. You know, again, you're growing with these people. You know, hold them accountable too. Because then they might want to hold you accountable. You know? Oh, you've been resting too late. You know? Simple things like that. You know? Alright, what this does is it gives you structure and it gives you a challenge every single day. I mean, it's a good feeling to be challenged. I know for me at least. We have something, a reason to wake up and go do something. It really helps. You know? So, when you build a community around accountability and helping each other grow, you're going to feel challenged. You know, and it's not going to be easy. It's going to be rough. You know, it's not roses and daisies. It's not all this. But at the end of the road, you will be happy that you made these decisions. You will be happy you made these decisions. Because they get you to where you need to be. All right. So, whoops. Okay. Anyways, yeah, I don't know what that was. But that's the end of this video. I hope that I can help somebody, you know, with their maybe struggling to become that version of themselves that they want to become. But then know how to approach it. I hope I can help that person. Because I know I would want to hear somebody give me the same advice. You know, having someone to tell you this stuff is very important. You know, for your growth. For, you know, for a lot of things. Building a community, cherishing each other, you know, it's important. You feel like you belong somewhere. And that's ultimately why, I know I keep saying ultimately and a bunch of other stuff, you know what I mean? But that's just how I speak. You know, but I forgot where I was. But yeah, you feel like you belong somewhere. You know? And that's what I'm building this community for. So, keep helping me. I'll help you. Peace out, guys.